Real estate gets real.
I'm Rachel Davis.
And I'm Kate Baldwin.
I can never miss a Monday. Hey, look, it's never miss a Monday. Hey, look, it's never miss a Monday. Hey, look, it's never miss a Monday. Coach told me I can never miss a Monday.
Welcome back to another episode of REI Baddies. I'm Rachel Davis, Army veteran, real estate investor, and your co-host.
And I'm Kate Baldwin, your Florida luxury real estate co-host of REI Baddies. So this show, we bring you real stories from real investors who made their first deal within the first 6 months of their career. No fluff, just real people doing real things and making real moves.
So today, we're going to be joined by someone who's taken action on a whole other level. Michael Mnatsakanian, better known to many of us as Mnat.
Wow,
he's an Army.
Impressive. Fun.
Very good.
That was so good.
I've heard the name a time or two. He's an Army veteran. He is our super investor here within the SubTo community, and he's really helping people every day master creative finance, wealth building, just by using strategies in his calculator. Mnat's story is about discipline, mindset, and multiplying opportunities. Welcome to REI Baddies, Mnat.
Hey.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you.
Woo!
Appreciate
Wait,
that.
now we had to hype it.
Our vets turned into a super investor is here with us today. So how did you come across your first deal, actually? That's kind of our
Tell us
first
about
question
it.
for the day.
Yeah, that's good. So before we get started, since everyone's still probably thinking it, it's Mnatsakanian, right? Mnatsakanian. That's how you say it. Rachel killed it. Love it. First deal. So you know what? You said bought their first deal within 6 months. Well, in reality, I didn't buy my first deal in 6 months.
Oh, okay.
I joined the military, and at the same time as I commissioned in the Army, I started learning about real estate investing in 2018. It took me 18-ish months, almost 2 full years of learning and then doing deal analysis, and then deal analysis, and then deal analysis, and then deal analysis, with no real estate to show for it. I had a bunch of numbers on a spreadsheet, but I realized that what was holding me back at that point was I was not taking the next logical step. It seems easy now, right? You cannot just analyze deals and then own real estate. But it took me going into a room of other real estate investors in my local market where I was stationed at Fort Wainwright in Fairbanks, Alaska, met up with maybe 10 real estate investors. There's a small community there. And I realized all the people in there were owning the real estate that I was analyzing. I was analyzing them, and I said they're going to be great cash flow. They were the ones actually making the offers and buying them and then generating that cash flow. So I basically gave myself an ultimatum right near pretty close to the 24-month mark of my investing journey,
Wow.
which was if I want to own real estate and I want to generate cash flow, I have to actually buy properties. If I want to buy properties, I have to make offers and get them under contract. To be able to know what deals to put under contract, I have to be able to analyze them. That's where I was breaking. It seems so obvious. If you're analyzing deals and it makes sense, you got to actually make offers to be able to buy them. But I didn't realize that I was so nervous, so frozen. I was stuck in something called paralysis by analysis.
Yep.
I was just stuck analyzing deals and not feeling confident with the next step. When I talked to the other investors and then learned that my analysis was on par, if not better, than the way they were analyzing deals, and that the reality of actually buying these properties wasn't that crazy. I could just figure it out. You know, if I put a property under contract and the inspection goes sideways, or something comes up, or an extra renovation needs to be done, like whatever. I'm competent enough to solve this stuff, right?
Yeah.
All of us can solve. Real estate's not this crazy thing at the end of the
Not like
day.
engineering,
You can
right?
solve most of this stuff. But it felt so impossible until I saw other people who were doing the thing that I was doing, and I was doing a lot of the work. I just wasn't taking the next logical step to buy properties. So that it actually took me almost 2 years. And I would say somewhat rightfully so, because you got to learn and all that stuff, especially if you're early 20s when you started. But then I just got stuck in that. And then I realized that was the biggest flaw. If I didn't actually take the next step, I should stop wasting my time just analyzing deals. I might as well just go enjoy all that time. Like I was in Alaska, I loved nature and all that good stuff. Just go enjoy that time as opposed to analyzing deals and not making offers. So I said, the next deal that makes sense on my spreadsheet, I will make an offer and then I will figure it out. And I did that, and it was the best decision I ever made.
So tell us about that offer.
Cool. So this was a property that I bought using my VA loan. So like I said, I was active duty at the time. I had access to my VA loan. So it was My wife and I were living already in a duplex. At that point, before that, we were always renting, and more often than not, it was with roommates. And then we rented a duplex in Alaska. We lived upstairs. The tenants lived downstairs. And then it hit me as I started learning more about real estate. I could use my VA loan to buy a multi-unit property, a 2 to 4 unit property with 0% down payment. If you're not a veteran or active duty, you don't have access to the VA loan, don't worry. You have an FHA loan, 3.5% down payment, and 5% down conventional loans. So you can still do it like without a VA loan. But for me, it was even better because I got the VA loan. So that's what we did. We said, well, if we're already renting this, we're already living like this, why can't we just be the owners of a property just like this? So that's all I was looking at was 2 to 4 unit properties. This awesome duplex 2-unit property made a lot of financial sense on the spreadsheet. It was a little bit wonky. It was a bank foreclosure. The previous owner couldn't make it perform, so the bank took it. But the buying process was roughly the same. Like, it wasn't this, I didn't go to some special auction, or I just bought it, looked at it on Zillow, went with my agent, looked at the property, everything made sense. So made an offer on this 2-unit property. We ended up buying it, like I said, no money down, essentially, with the VA loan. And we lived in 1 unit and rented out the other. I will say a lot of my concerns came to fruition in the sense of when we bought the property, because it was foreclosure, or during the due diligence, during the inspection, we had to turn on the water and all that stuff because it was shut off. Because it was Alaska, it was winter. They shut it off when it's a foreclosure because they don't want. So once that turned on, the next day we walk into the property. There's this like huge bubble in the paint of water. My agent cuts it and just water pours out, and I'm like, oh my god, this is insane. Like, what am I gonna do? I can't believe, of course, this happened. My wife was like, what the hell? So it was like scary, but in reality, I thought to myself, well, what do we do here, right? Like, it's pretty obvious. Like, we just talk to the other investors and then figure out, what do? We just cut the drywall, like not us, but we get someone to cut the drywall, fix the plumbing leak, see how much the total thing costs. Actually, we wouldn't even fix it. We just got the quote for that because it's the responsibility of the seller at that point, or we would renegotiate, and that's what we did. Yeah. That's all we had to do. We identified this issue. Right. It's like not that crazy to like cut some drywall and replace it after fixing the plumbing leak. It seems like a freaking disaster. Like, oh my god, that's the worst thing that could ever happen. I feel like things like that hold people up, and it freaked me out for sure, but I was committed to make this deal work because the numbers made a lot of sense. We were going to live rent-free and then make money as well while we were living there, and then after that, we were going to make a ton more money when the whole property was rented out. And so, like, it was like little things like that, and it was not that big of a deal. Okay, everything can be fixed. Depending on the cost, you negotiate with the seller. They were willing to, like the bank in this instance, was willing to cover the costs for this work through closing credits, which was fine. We just paid for it, and they gave us the money back essentially at closing. And that was the first one. 2-unit property, lived in 1 unit, rent out the other. And yes, things were crazy, right? But it wasn't that crazy in the grand scheme of things. It was, my biggest fears came to fruition, and it wasn't that big of a deal, which was great. That was a great lesson learned. And then we bought the property, renovated it a bit, and then rented it out within 3 days. So it was like Memorial Day weekend, and we rented it out. I was now a landlord. I signed a lease. I found tenants, some military officers who were renting out the bedrooms. And that was it. Like, it was so not as crazy as I thought, but that was the proof of concept I needed to be able to just run with this and say, damn, real estate is sick. Like, this is something I need to do more and more of. And it's not that hard when you really break it down into its steps. And then you just understand the different components of how to find deals, analyze them, do your due diligence, right? Make sure everything looks good, and then operate them successfully. You just have to do all those things. Right. That's you have to be comfortable and have the right mindset to understand you're gonna have to do all those things.
Yep.
Tell us how that conversation went with your wife, where you both were like, "This is what I'm doing right now," like, because and I'm gonna pivot a little bit with this, but like my husband and I are both doing this together, and I've noticed that when both spouses are on board, it's so much easier. Yes. Tell me how that conversation went with you and your wife.
So that's a great conversation. That's like a great thing to discuss because I do see a lot of investors who struggle integrating real estate with their spouse. I think because one of them overly prioritizes the real estate, but then is missing out on a lot of the life that they're building anyway. So it's like, what's the point of achieving this level of more wealth or freedom if you're not actually enjoying your life with your spouse? It's better when there's mutual buy-in. Mine was a little bit different because my wife and I have been together since high school. I went to college and then she joined me there. And so she's always seen me do, like, I've built my trust with her step by step over a long period of time where she just has ultimate confidence no matter what I do at this point because of the follow through and the resilience and the, figure it out, whatever that I've been able to do. Whether it was the first time I said, hey, I'm covering like all of our major expenses and I want you to invest your money in your 401k and your IRA. And we started first saving together and just budgeting and then saving. And then I said, hey, I'm doing the math here. We cannot save ourselves to like what I wanted, which was financial freedom or the ability to retire early at any point that I chose to. We cannot save our way there, especially with the incomes we were making. We had to invest. So great. All right, well, let's put money in 401ks, IRAs. Great. That was good, but that was just going to take decades. And then with real estate, it was kind of the same concept. It's like, Michael helped me invest my money in her own accounts, not even for me. It was all her own separate accounts, and controlled the finances in the sense of like the budgeting and all that stuff where we both did it, but it's like, here's the financial plan. Let's do this together, and just built off that. So then by the time it came to real estate, she trusted me. And that was really big because this house, like when people look at houses, this is why I only use agents who are investor minded as well. Because when you go to a house, you're looking at the beautiful kitchen and like you want a perfect turnkey product for a house. And most agents are selling you a house that's this beautiful renovated kitchen, all that. When you're looking at an investment, you actually want it to be a little
bumpy.
Yeah, you want it to not be perfect. Otherwise, you're overpaying for a property. I mean, if it's nice, great, better, as long as it's the numbers work. But typically, you need to buy a property that's not perfect. For example, this one being a bank foreclosure, the downstairs was converted to a commercial space. They removed all the bedroom drywalls, like all the bedroom drywall and closets. So it was just this big open layout. Like the whole layout was weird upstairs and downstairs. But I saw the vision. Everything was mechanically really solid. Like everything was brand new and everything was expensive. The water heaters and all that, everything was just really great. It's just, it had a weird layout and
it had
that was hard. And there was like this ugly purple wall. Thankfully, that's the one that had the water in it and we were going to paint it anyway. So it was like, even better. We get even more reason to get rid of that ugly purple wall. Like it was like a weird property, but it made a lot of sense on the spreadsheet and mechanically it was sound. This was an older property. It was fully renovated, like 100%, like years prior. So it was like a really great property, just was a little bit weird layout. So that was a holdup for her because she didn't understand kind of what we were looking for in an investment, but she understood with our investor-minded agent. And I just explained like, this is better for us because we get to buy this property at a fraction of the cost of what it would have been if it was, perfect. It's going to cost, a couple grand to add these walls. It's going to cost a couple grand to move the kitchen and improve the layout and just things like that. It's like, but that cost, that because we're buying it like that, we buy it cheaper. It's going to cost us not that much, but we're going to add massive value to the property by doing this. And all of that was proven through this investment. So yes, things were a little crazy. Yes, she had to buy in at that point, but I built so much trust up until that point. She was like, you know what? At the end of the day, I feel very confident in your ability to do this stuff. And you'll just figure it out even if it doesn't pan out perfectly. And we did. And then everything that I said essentially panned out. It doesn't always work that way for real estate. I got a home run with the deal. It panned out essentially the way I thought. Yes, there was little things that came up, but everything for the most part was a perfect home run on this investment, which was great for her confidence and my confidence, especially because I'm an engineer by trade. So I tend to overthink things. Obviously, why it took me so long to buy a deal and why I was so just nervous about the process. But as an engineer or as just someone who thinks like scientifically, we'll say, I just needed proof of concept. And this was that proof of concept, which then has allowed me to go from one property 5 years ago to over 100 units and, this crazy trajectory over that time. But it was so hard to just get over the hump for the initial one. And I understand the majority of people are in that phase is like, how do I do the first ever investment? How do I do the first creative deal? How do I do my first advanced strategy? Whatever it is. But you have to build enough knowledge and understand you're going to be frozen and then execute on that. And you'll just build your confidence over time. You don't get to 100 units without buying your first. You don't get to, tens of thousands of dollars a month in cash flow without getting $100 of cash flow. Like, you have to build your way there. It's, unless you have a silver spoon, and if that's the case, then this probably isn't the right podcast for you, because we're all building, we're all building from the ground up for the most part, and we have to work for everything that we receive. Nothing's given to us, and that super military right there as well. It's quite honestly,
no one's coming to save you. That's definitely a military mindset.
No one's coming to save you, and regardless of how good work you do, it doesn't actually matter at the end of the day, because you're not getting more pay, you're not getting more leave. You might get a challenge coin, great, but like, you're just used to just doing shit with no actual result for it besides just doing good for the work that you're doing. But like, great, real estate was the exact opposite. For all the work that I do, all the action that I take, I get results for that. It was beautiful. It was like, okay, great.
I love it.
Unfortunately, through real estate, that was the first one. I did the same thing a year later for a 4-unit property. And during that period, I started learning other investment strategies. I started learning the concept, wholesaling, finding deals for other buyers, but I was more of a bird dog, where I was starting with buyers first and then finding them deals that they wanted that made sense for their buy box. That's the strategy I implemented so I could actually learn how to, like, what were great deals in the Huntsville, Alabama market, the first out-of-state market I was interested in investing in, as opposed to where I was currently investing in Alaska. And I did that. Yeah, I got paid, but I really did that to learn as much as possible and build my confidence. So instead of me selling these buyers the deals, once I had some solid buyers and I knew the types of deals they were looking for, I could just choose to buy those deals at that point. That's what I was getting paid to learn with very little risk, which is why I started bird dogging during that period, as I had to wait another year, right, to do my next house hack property. And then I just started implementing this off-market deal finding, some stuff I was learning about creative financing, and implemented all in my local market in Alaska, and got 20 rental cabins, no money out of pocket, generates me thousands of dollars a month. And at that point, within 13 months from my first deal to that deal, I had over $7,000 a month of cash flow. I told the military, awesome, I'm not going to renew. I thank you for everything that I did. I'm very grateful for my service to our country. I'm very
grateful for my VA loan.
Well, that too, right? Obviously, the benefits are great, but at the time, I didn't even know these were I didn't even know the benefits. I joined. Everyone questions the reason why I joined, because I was making twice the amount of income that I made in the military. I'm a chemical engineer by trade, and I was able to direct commission as an officer, but it's still a fraction of the income I was making, and very little actual control of my life. Obviously, in the military, they're moving you around all the time. Telling you about trainings and leave and all that, and then COVID made it crazier. But for me, I joined because I'm a first-generation American, first person in my entire lineage to ever be born in this amazing country. All my other family was always born in Armenia, which is a war-torn country, even actively today. Like, it's insane, and that's been my biggest lottery ticket in life, that my family immigrated here the right way, gave birth to me, and in America, gave me my American citizenship. And for me, if I was born in any of those other countries, I'd have a way worse life and way worse opportunities. I would have been forced to serve. So then for me, having the privilege and opportunity to serve this amazing country that has allowed me to have all the opportunities that I have, I had to take those opportunities, right? Don't get that twisted, right? Just because you have opportunity doesn't mean you got to take advantage of that opportunity and actually execute on it. But that is why I served, even though it didn't make financial sense. But at that point, with that many rentals and the concept was there, I just decided to go all in on real estate investing, or we'll talk about super real estate investing.
Yeah, actually, Kate, do you want to ask a question now? I feel like I dominated the question point.
I feel like I dominated just talking nonstop. I don't even know if I took a breath.
That's okay. Hey, man, that's what this is for.
We kind of focused on that 24 months. I mean, I think for the reality is that, like, I see a lot of you and myself, or myself and you, because I analyze everything. I'm a perfectionist. I mean, you should see my bloody spreadsheets. And I even said this to Rachel yesterday, like, it takes me, I can talk to a wall. Like, I know everybody. Whenever I go out or do anything, I know the whole room. Mm-hmm. And it's taking that initial conversation on a telephone that it's a psychological thing. I mean, I'm 45, so I'm not a newbie to being an entrepreneur. I've had multiple businesses, and I just find that really interesting, because I was listening to a podcast on the way up from Key West just now, and she was talking about this. It's just, you have all your tools and you know what you're doing. I mean, how many spreadsheets can I put together? call the bloody people. Like, get them on the phone. Like, what are you doing? And it's phone, whatever that word you said, I can't remember, but it.
Well, I will say that I've kind of seen people in three core buckets, and I'm just overly generalizing, but it's the people that are overly analytical and second guess and over worry about everything and then don't take action. I've seen people who take blind action, and then I've seen people who are kind of more in the middle. They do some, yeah, they do some, and there's a full spectrum, right? And then those that like do the analysis and take action, right? Like the extremes of anything are always bad, right? The people who blindly take action, I'd rather not do any real estate investing than blindly take action, because there's a lot of people who have a bunch of terrible investments. They earned and saved money and bought
a lot of people's money. And here's the thing, because I am such, like, I just think that there's a lot of laws in real estate that that there's really not a lot of talk about, right? I mean, granted, it is what it is, but there is a lot of laws. There's things you can get in trouble for, and I thought I need to know what I'm doing before. So like, I literally went through Pace's stuff, like chapter. But I mean, I had books. I printed everything. I wrote everything. I had, I studied it. I took those tests seriously, and I really did, because I know that there's. I mean, if I'm raising capital for a client, I need to know what I'm doing, and I don't think it'd be fair to my clients, especially when you start with friends and family, right? So you want it to be not perfect, but you want it to be as close to perfect as you can. So
what shifted for me was, like I said, I knew I wasn't going to know everything, but as long as I had a general roadmap, like I find deals, I analyze them, if they make sense, I put them under contract, I do my due diligence, I close on it, then we have to renovate it, maybe furnish it, operate it, which means management, financials, whatever. As long as I understood the general roadmap, I figured out I could learn all these specifics, whether I learn it myself through books, videos, whatever, tap into mentors or tap into community of investors. I can figure out every little detail in between, but if I waited to know everything about everything, I was never going to have anything to show for it besides a bunch of knowledge, for the most part. And that's what really was that ultimatum that I gave myself. That's what I had to do, is say, Michael, you're being overly analytical. You're trying to understand everything about everything, but there's a million scenarios. I personally, at that point, didn't even think that I could walk into a house and there's just this huge fat water bubble. Like, I didn't know that, that the latex paint would expand to fill in all this water before it burst. Like, I didn't even think of that. Like, I know there's issues that can come up, but I realized I can basically figure things out as I go. But this is the thing. You cannot go with that mindset unless you're actually doing the beginning stages. You got to know that you're buying a great deal at face value, right? Like, that's the most important thing.
Too. I mean, at the end of the day, I think for the most part, it's I was familiar with wholesaling. I got into Gator. I haven't done any capital raising. I haven't done anything with money. I've done all wholesale, and I've stopped a foreclosure in the town, and I've helped him. I mean, it was an hour before he was going to go to auction. I'd never done that before. I went to bankruptcy court and got power of attorney in Miami. It's a 3-hour drive. I drove up once, came back, drove up the next day, came back, got it hauled, and then it was 1 hour before auction. And that is my wheelhouse. So I was like, I'm used to being in houses, selling houses, doing fixer-upper, helping clients. So it was my wheelhouse, but I'm really, I think that was how, Rachel also did the opposite. She got into SubTo and was doing Gator. So
can I highlight, this is why I made sure to talk about, it's, in my opinion, you can't blindly buy real estate, not you, in general, right? Which means you have to know what you're looking for and have a strategy and then know how to analyze those deals.
Right.
But if you're trying to implement more advanced strategies or do something that you haven't done before, you de-risk it by partnering with someone or offering value or service someone who's at a higher level. That was the bird dogging for me. I didn't do off-market deal finding. I didn't do the BRRRR strategy. I never invested out of state. I never did out-of-state fix and flips. So what did I just, if I'm gonna do a BRRRR, I'm basically doing out-of-state fix and flip, making sure that's a great rental, all of that. I said, I don't feel comfortable doing that. So what I'm gonna go find a couple buyers who are proven buyers, and I'm gonna learn what they're looking for specifically. Great, now I have a buy box of what proven buyers are doing there. I know what they're looking for. I know how much all-in cost they want relative to the property value, specifically in that market. I know roughly what they're gonna anticipate for renovations. I know what they think the rent's gonna be. Great, I understand that from their perspective. I just leveraged their years or decades of experience. And then it was, okay, now I'm finding deals exactly the way that they want it. And that was the big thing for me to implement. This is like my entire journey at this point. Like, I did what I could through my VA loan, but then I had to realize if I want to learn and do things at a higher level, I have to actually leverage other people's knowledge and experience, whether it's working with these proven buyers, partnering with other people, or paying for education and mentorship.
I mean, I JV'd with that. I ended up, I worked so hard on that foreclosure, and I had 2 weeks left till the auction, or not even a month, I mean. And I called John Pickle. I saw Justin on a YouTube. He answered that day, and they paired up with me. They just left Key West. They were here last month. They flew down for the closing. And yeah, I mean, it was definitely like, this is why I am so obsessed with this community. I'm so all in, is because I've never worked with such a great community of people. And I think that we're always constantly lifting each other up. I mean, there's no reason that you cannot be successful in this community. I mean, it's proven. We're big, huge advocate. Like, I'm a huge advocate, Rachel and I, on squatting up, bringing people in. That's why we started REI Baddies, because we really wanted to help people that were starting out, that went through the training, but they were like stuck. They're not quite an OG. And me and Rachel were both there. We were just like, we're smart. We are driven. And, you know, but there's so much shiny objects, and there's so much
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
That you just kind of get like, whoa. And for me in Key West, there's not anyone. Like, I don't have meetups. And everyone thinks I'm crazy right now because I'm from here. So they're like, what are you doing? Like, what is REI Baddies? Like, I go to the soccer field, and what is REI Baddies? And like, what are you doing now, Kate?
Kate, can I go into that a little bit?
Yeah.
I'm going to go into this a little bit because I think a big component of what you said is true. As I said, even just 10 people, I didn't need a big community. I needed 10 people in my local market doing the strategy that I wanted to do to be able to bounce ideas off them, verify analysis, see the deals that they were buying, comparing that to my analysis, ask them questions for our local market for my strategy. I think that is more important, and that is where people get lost. This is kind of the conversation we're having before the podcast, which was it's one of the biggest issues for people is if they join a community like this one where there's so many people doing every type of strategy. It's great because you have the opportunity to learn everything and collaborate with everyone and all that. But the downside of that is shiny objects. It's not the community's fault. It's the individual's fault for not going in with the right mindset. But no one tells you this. There's no instruction manual on how to take advantage or learn as much as you can for a community like this and make the most out of it. The reality of it is it's a lot better when you clearly know, hey, you're going to take time to learn, and that's the point of shiny objects. Take 3 to 6 months to learn your strategy, learn what is it that resonates with you. Is it multifamily? Is it short-term rentals? For me, it's co-living or rent by the room, right? Okay, great. I learned that. Where do I want to invest? Great. Which markets do I want to invest in? Great. Now I know the strategy and the market. How do I find people who are already doing that strategy in that market? Let me learn from those guys, partner with those guys, collaborate with those guys. Not every single opportunity that comes into me. Like, there's going to be a million people that want to collaborate and partner and all that stuff. Your job is to shut out the noise once you define what you want to do and then build off that. That has been the biggest game changer for me and for the majority of people that have success in communities like this. You go through your shiny objects and then you go all in on the thing you want to do.
All right, well then what said that? Because I'm going to say this. I think I called my Gator guy a million times, and I'm like, I'm so stuck. And I'm analyzing everything. I don't know where to start. And he's like, well, what do you want to do? And I don't know. I mean, it wasn't until I started doing the wholesale deals and getting in trouble with my association. Because you're not legally allowed to do that, which now I'm not with Berkshire Hathaway anymore. I left. And so I really just, what is it that you think that, I mean, because it sounds like did you start with Pace, this community, before you bought your first deal? Right.
No, I had over 27 rentals. I had experience doing creative financing, primarily seller financing and Morby methods,
So
or that's what we call it in the community. I did some capital raising. So when I go into something like this, anything that I've ever paid for in education, I know that I will get nothing out of it unless I execute on the information, right? That's first and foremost. Like, you can get all the information, all the community, it means nothing unless you execute on it. But then more importantly, with something like the first thing that I did, the first one I paid for was $3,000 to learn about seller financing and how to send letters so that for properties that would be conducive to seller financing in your local market. That was great. That I challenged that at the first. I said, dude, I bought 2 properties for like less than $15,000 total. How can I invest $3,000 to learn something like this? And he said, you're thinking about it wrong. There's no direct ROI. Like, when I know if I'm putting $1 into an investment, I know what my theoretically what my cash on cash return is, what my return on investment is. How can I forecast my return on investment for this? And he said, you're thinking about education the wrong way, because it might be 0 ROI. And I think of that as negative ROI, right? You spent $3,000, you got nothing for it. You're negative. It's not even 0, even though mathematically it is, but you're negative. You just wasted money for nothing.
Right.
The reality of it is, if you are learning the thing and you know that that's the thing you want to learn, not just being sold by ads, that you should learn all these 50 million bajillion things and they're really good at targeting you and making you emotionally think that you should do these. But it's like, if you specifically know the skill you want to develop and then you pay for someone who's doing that at a high level and you actually execute on it, the returns are infinite. Could I not save, instead of buying a property with a 25% down payment, like a regular investment loan, if I buy it for 20%, 15%, 10%, would that not save me at least that $3,000?
Absolutely.
For sure it would have. And would that not give me opportunities to buy more investments with that same amount of capital? For sure. Or instead of using a bank now at 7, 8% interest rate, I'm instead buying it at 3, 4, 5% interest rate. How quickly does that $3,000 pay itself back? But none of that is reality unless you execute. But none of that is reality unless you go in with a lot of intention to these kind of communities. The problem is most people are hit very effectively with ads and marketing, and they say, oh, I should do this thing and this thing, without thinking, this is the thing that I want to do, and this is the thing I need to learn. And that's what SubTo was for me. I knew at that point I was pretty good at what I was doing. SubTo was more tools on my tool belt. I got like blindsided by the community and the opportunities and the resources, and I've obviously taken a massive leadership role and I help other people out a ton. Like, I didn't know that was, I thought I was just paying for education. I got a way more out of it, and then now I'm a leader in a variety of things in the community, capital raising, co-living, creative finance, like deal structure, all that kind of stuff. But what the difference maker is for people who are joining brand new, you got to go through a shiny object phase. I knew I wanted to buy real estate and I still went shiny objects because there was so much external pressure, external noise and new challenges and this crap and that crap. And it's like, oh, I'm going to try this. And then I realized, okay, well, I joined this thing to be financially free. So financial freedom comes from owning properties that generate you cash flow, ideally semi-passively or fully passively. The only way to do that for me was to buy and hold real estate. The most logical route with what I was learning was to buy single-family homes, credibly financed, and just stack a couple of those things. But I was focusing on all these other things because I forgot that was my goal. I started wholesaling again. All these other things, I started looking at multifamily, RV parks, like literally everything under the sun. And then I said, well, this is my strategy.
Right.
I'm going to get back to this. And once I did that and then started, once again, the same way I did the first deal, kind of breaking it down, I really broke down. Real estate's very simple. You need a great deal. You need money to fund that deal. And you need the operations to effectively do the due diligence, close on it, and then to effectively manage your properties. Well, then I started learning more advanced things. I don't need to be the one to source my own deals directly. I don't need to talk to every seller agent. I can buy other people's deals. I don't need to earn and save money for years or decades to be able to have enough to be able to buy my next investment. I can leverage other people's money by giving them solid returns on their money or giving them co-ownership opportunities. So the two biggest inputs into buying deals and money, right, to buying investment properties that cash flow, deals and money did not have to be 100% me. There could be leverage involved with that. So I went all in on high leverage, finding deal flow, raising money instead of using my own money, and then going all in on the operational piece, because it doesn't matter how many properties you buy. It matters how many properties you actually successfully operate, because that's where the true cash flow comes in. That's where the wealth benefits come in. Just because you buy property doesn't mean shit. Like, right, I've seen tons of people buy properties, a lot of them, and then everything falls apart because they don't focus on the operations. Well, in reality, like, to generate cash flow, you need your income to exceed your expenses. If you're not even making income or that's not happening, you're not going to be able to pay your mortgages. You're going to lose that investment. Right. You're going to lose someone else's money. Yep. And just isn't like, and then you don't get any of the ownership benefits and you wasted everyone's time, money, and energy. Right. So what was the point? It's better to systematically and step by step,
So what I
scale your
sounds like-
portfolio with
yeah.
properties that are successfully operating.
So it sounds like to me too, and this is something that I think I'm just like, wow, thinking about is when you're a newbie and you're trying to figure out something, is just make some type of new move, like just call somebody, get someone on the phone. You know what I realized that
I think the bigger thing is office hours. That's the bigger, like.
I'll say this: the bigger thing is this concept I've been thinking about, and I've heard one of my mentors mention, is that everyone starts, for the most part. I mean, everyone's different. Everyone's had different experiences. For the most part, everyone starts like in this box. This is the box of risk they're willing to take and like what action they're willing to take. So the goal is to just continually expand that box little by little by little by having lower risk, like simulations or opportunities to execute on the steps that you need to then be able to expand that. Because my box is like ginormous now, right? Like I'm willing to do things at a much higher level, right? Super investing at a much higher level than the majority that are starting out. It's hard for me to tell someone, hey, dude, it's super simple. Buy creatively financed deals, become a master at analyzing and negotiating and structuring those deals.
Yeah, okay.
Raise money to buy those deals, super easy.
Sure.
And then operate them as co-living, rent by the room. You're going to put 7 people in one house.
Don't you think
Easy.
you should ask? Okay, fair.
But you build to that.
Over there,
And that-
engineer over there. Listen, I think that also something that's really important is that they call the people like you and they say, hey, my name is this. I can give you 20 hours of my week. I'm not working and I really need to, and what do you need me to do for you? How can I help you so you can learn? Like, not you in particular, but just everyone in this community. In fact, I saw someone on Creative Finance the other day who's like, I'm willing to, help out whoever. So we screen.
Right, and that's what I mean by a low risk simulation. I'm not saying you're just like playing with AI, right? It's like you're putting yourself in situations where you're not taking all of the risk. You're focusing on that one skill set. For example, I needed to make an offer on my first deal and then go through that process, and that expanded my risk tolerance, my ability to take action on investments like that. But then when I wanted to buy properties using the Burr model in a state that I've never invested in, I could barely point out on a map, doing a strategy and all this stuff that I couldn't do, how did I de-risk that? I just said, okay, well, I need to know what types of deals are successful investors buying here so I can buy those deals. So I went to those buyers and said, how can I add value to you? Great, I'm going to get you deals. I need to understand what exactly you're looking for so I can find you those deals. Low risk, there's literally no risk but my time. Time is
Right.
At a certain point, time becomes your most valuable resource, right? But time is the best thing you can exchange to learn, even if it's not for money, and mine was for money, right? Obviously, but to learn, to execute, and build that risk tolerance. So that's how I did it, right? That was I wouldn't be as comfortable investing out of state, doing renovations out of state, all that kind of stuff if I didn't put myself in that situation where I was providing the right type of deal for the buyer, and then they were executing on it. And then I realized the reality of it. And then I just continued building skill by skill by skill, primarily creative finance, capital raising, and then co-living, the rent by the room strategy, just building towards that step by step. Can you go into it immediately? Sure, but not everyone has the risk tolerance initially to be able to do that right away, is what I've learned.
No, you're right.
Here's my question for you, Mnat, for anyone listening now that's inspired by what you're saying before I ask you the final question or Kate can ask the final question of the podcast. Ooh, I know I'm passing the torch. How do people get a hold of you then? Like, I know you do office hours, but what's the most effective way that if someone's like, damn, I want a bird dog for Mnat or...
And talk about like your master program too, because I'm really intrigued by that. And then I know we both are at the end of our time here, but if you want to give us a clip of that, I think that's pretty rad.
Yeah, so I mean, I can quickly mention the highest level and then go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
So Super Investors is my own community, primarily catered towards those who want to implement existing investors, right? This is not for brand new investors. Sorry, there's other communities for that. And I give like 95% of the stuff I put out there is for free for those types of newer investors. But for those existing investors who want to take things to the next level, you've already expanded your risk tolerance to do real estate, or you have solid reserves set aside and you're willing to learn and take action. And I'm going to help you successfully and systematically implement learning, creative financing, so you can buy and structure great creatively financed deals and analyze them effectively. And then something we call super deal analysis. Raise money for those deals the right way and to ensure that you're taking care of your partners as well as the investments. And then to primarily operate those as co-living rent by the room investments, because those generate way more cash flow, like thousands of dollars a month versus $100 a month on a long-term rental. There's way more opportunity out there. It's basically learning step by step and all the tools and resources to help you execute that. That's for intermediate investors. I have another co-living course, basically everything is to investors for co-living, provided to anyone who wants to learn the co-living model. What is co-living? How do they implement it? How do they find deals? How do they analyze deals? Every single thing you could ever imagine for co-living. And it's just a low monthly cost for that because I want to provide way more value at a way lower cost than anyone else in that space, right? So those are like the two paid things that I do. 95% of the stuff that I do is for free. And it's primarily catered towards people who are brand new in the space or those that are in real estate investing communities, but they know that they need to learn more because they're not really getting it in the sense of, I'm an engineer, right? I'm an engineer who's taken a lot of action in real estate, but for me, I like step by step. So I teach things as step by step as I can, which really resonates for a lot of people who want that type of education. So I have my free Wealth Through Real Estate community on School, which has free courses. What is real estate investing and how does it benefit you? How do you analyze deals traditionally? How do you analyze deals creatively? And then I go into, okay, well, let's take it one step further. Now that you understand how to analyze deals, how can you take it to the next level, which is bird dogging for someone who's already doing deals and it is doing deals the way that you want to do deals. Don't bird dog. In my opinion, you could bird dog for the money, which is one thing, right? If you're gonna do that, probably bird dog for fix and flip investors. You can tend to make more that way. But if you really want to learn how to buy and hold real estate, especially with a specific strategy, like let's say co-living, bird dog for a successful co-living investor, so you can learn those skills and you can then be the buyer for those deals and you're minimizing your risk by learning through them and getting paid for that, right? Like that's why I provide a whole course on that. I provide a little co-living intro in there. And then I have some other paid stuff, but like 95% of the stuff that I do and all that I offer is free.
Hear all that in the comments too for everyone out there that's listening. Yeah, we're very excited to have you, by the way. This is, I mean, we were both.
Yeah, of course, because he was our 100th subscriber.
Let's go. Oh, actually, on that note too, I didn't even mention, so like, honestly, the easiest way to just contact me or get a hold of me is social media, right?
Yeah.
I put out really boring, long videos on YouTube. I'm never going to be viral or YouTube famous. I don't care because I'm going deep into understanding a strategy, giving you a roadmap, helping you analyze on YouTube. So that's Super Investors REI, and then my own Instagram that links to literally everything. Michael MNAT, right? First four letters of my last name. There you go. That's the starting place, and you can just you'll find everything else typically, and all the tools and resources I give away for free as well. Free deal analysis calculators, free cheat sheets and templates and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're really happy. I mean, yes, you talk a lot. So I was like, I didn't even.
It takes a lot for you to say that, Kate.
I know. Well, this is where I had to be quiet, which is very rare for me.
That's why I don't necessarily host my own podcast right now.
I loved it. I was literally fascinated by every word that came out of your mouth. And that is like super impressive. You are such a super impressive guy. At the age of 30, I hadn't even had kids yet. Like, you know, I mean, you're just everything that you've navigated. And I definitely am going to tell Rachel this after, but I did have questions that I wanted to ask you, and it's okay. We can have a part 2 one day, right? Okay. But yeah, it was, you know, just the way before I do any interview, I research everybody we interview. So I go deep dive, right? Thank God for chat. So I know a lot about you and just the way you strategized your life. It's a very uncommon thing for your generation. And I'm very impressed by you. I love the way that you connect with other people, the way that you share your knowledge, because it's all about that. And I think a lot of times people think that by sharing your knowledge with other people, you're going to basically, so like, for example, as a wedding planner, I did that for 15 years. And I would train all these planners. They would come through my door, and I never made them sign a non-compete clause. Never. They're like, why? We live in a 2-mile by 4-mile island. You know, it's competitive. I said, because this is the American dream. What am I going to do? Like, if she wants to go out on her own and do her own thing, good for her. There's always somebody that's going to attract towards me and towards her. So the more knowledge you give out, the more you benefit at the end of the day, because there's accountability for that. And I think that's why REI Baddies is so important to us too. Not only are we sharing knowledge with our community, but we're also creating accountability for the fact that we show up, we're consistent, we do the thing, and we love what we do.
I totally resonate with that, and I think I believe that I had the perfect storm of opportunity, buying my first property, right at the start of COVID, low interest rates, VA loan that allowed me to take action and build this risk tolerance and the mindset that I have more step by step, where a lot of people in this space who can communicate well are not really as technical or can educate in the same sense. They can inspire the shit out of you, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I probably confuse and scare a lot of people, except for those that are, willing to actually learn and take action. But for me, I think I have this perfect storm of opportunity, and I have an ability to communicate this stuff effectively and step by step for the right people. And for me, I think if you choose to want to work for someone else for the rest of your life and be limited to 2 weeks maybe of time off, they will take you away from family events and things that you care about because of some random work deadline. If you want to do that for the next 40 plus years of your life,
go for it.
This is America. You do whatever you want. For those of you who say this is bullshit, I'm not here. This is not the American dream. That's the American rat race, the American nightmare. I don't want anything to do with that. I'm going to work temporarily. I'm going to work harder, take on some risk. I'm going to build something that allows me to be free for the entire rest of my life, build lifetime cash flow, build lifetime wealth, generational wealth, and I'm willing to do that. I just want to help those people any way that I can. And that's really what I focus on as much as possible because of where I'm at and the way that I communicate and what I've done, especially in the time frame that I've done it. It's not like I'm talking about things I did 40 years ago, right? All this is still extremely relevant. I'm buying millions and millions of dollars of real estate every year, and it only continues to grow every year, like how much I'm buying. So I think a lot of this really benefits people.
Oh, we could go on forever and ever, but we have 1 minute. So we do have one question.
There you go.
I know.
There you go, Kate. You want to ask?
She's like she would have to have a hard time with the three of us on a podcast. We do have a regular podcast because Rachel she's in the middle. I don't know where she is with you guys, but she's in the middle. I'm like, I have to look at her because she'll sometimes do like this.
Kate, we have a hard stop. I need to ask him that.
All right, so listen, I'll ask the question.
Thank you.
I'm not. What makes you an REI baddie?
I'm gonna give you two answers. I think first and foremost is the ability to learn and execute on things and achieve results for yourself. But I think what makes you a real REI baddie is not just keeping that for yourself and being selfish with that information. It's helping other people, regardless of where they're at in experience, helping them also do similar things. And that just kind of ties back into my last point. I think I'm privileged and grateful for the opportunities that I've had and what I've been able to achieve. It'd be super selfish to not try to help other people on their journeys as well. And that's why I do so much to help other people. I think that's a real REI baddie. But you got to do the thing first, right? That's the reality.
Yes, agreed.
100%.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Keep going, Kate.
Nope. You go.
Okay. Mnat, thank you so much for just sharing your story and the mission behind Super Investors. I think everyone, if they get anything out of today, just knows what truly a go-giver you are for this community. And for everyone tuning in, you can connect with Mnat, where we'll put his tags and socials on the bottom. And of course, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe to REI Baddies. I think we're now up to 113 subscribers, so we're marching our way. Let's go.
Awesome.
Right,
thanks, guys.
So much. Have a good day. Stay baddie. Real estate gets real.
I'm Rachel Davis.
And I'm Kate Baldwin.
I can never miss a Monday. Hey, look, it's never miss a Monday.